Gamers and gamerettes, trainers and casual button mashers alike, grab your Pokeballs and strap in because Pokémon Legends ZA just blasted onto the gaming scene like a hyper beam straight to our collective nostalgia glands. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 5.8 million freaking copies sold in its first week. That's more Pokemon than most of us have ever seen in our lives.
Unless your closet is secretly a safari zone.
For reference, Borderlands 4 had a modest oh hey moment at about 2 million, which is cute, but ZA basically laughed, flexed its Pikachu cheeks and said,
I'm the main course, you're just the appetizer.
Now, before you start crying into your leftover Pokepuffs about Scarlet and Violet selling 10 million copies in a week, remember, ZA isn't trying to be the fastest car in the race, it's trying to be the coolest one with a spoiler that actually looks intentional. It's basically a spiritual successor to XY with the action-based catching mechanics first seen in Arceus, but now polished enough that even your friend who refuses to read tutorials can feel like a legendary Pokemon whisperer. And speaking of whispers, the Pokemon Company probably whispered into the wallets of fans everywhere because nearly half of these copies were for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, that's right. The shiny new, slightly more ergonomic Switch 2 is already getting all the love, leaving OG Switch owners wondering if their console is suddenly the Sinnoh of hardware obsolescence. But hey guys, it's all good. Everyone loves a comeback, and Lumiose City is ready to welcome us back with open arms and the subtle threat
of a 4-foot-tall Pikachu glare.
Grab your Pokeballs, grab your Pokédex, grab your Poke everything because we're taking a deep dive into these numbers and what they mean for the gaming community. Now, let's get this out of the freaking way. 5.8 million copies sold in a week is not just impressive, it's absurd! That's nearly 6 million people collectively screaming,
I will catch them all, and yes, I will pay full freaking price for it.
For reference, this puts ZA ahead of Pokemon XY, which sold 4 million copies, and Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, which sold 3 million, and just slightly behind Arceus, which flexed a modest 6.5 million in its launch week. Think of it this way, guys. It's like ZA is the younger sibling who didn't quite hit the parental expectations of Scarlet Violet's 10 million, but still managed to steal the Halloween candy from the corner house. Worldwide, Japan contributed 1,486,000 copies of those sales, with 613,000 on Switch 2 and 872,000 on the original Switch. That means the rest of the world combined for 4.3 million copies, which is basically everyone outside Japan saying we will literally buy Pokemon again and again.
Thank you very much.
For context, guys, imagine a stadium holding 80,000 people. ZA sold out nearly 70 of those stadiums in 1 week. And unlike some games that crash and burn after the first weekend, Pokemon has something which they don't have: staying power. Arceus, for instance, sold over 14 million freaking copies in just over a year, proving that a good Pokemon is like fine wine.
Or an undodgeable Thunderbolt.
It only gets better with time. Now, sales aside, the hype machine surrounding ZA was freaking ridiculous. Trailers, leaks, and fan theories had everyone ready to storm Lumiose City like a gang of Team Rocket rejects on a caffeine binge, and it worked. The game didn't just sell copies, it sold freaking dreams. People are catching, battering, and probably overthinking whether that new Pokemon design looks like a cross between a cat and a velociraptor. And honestly, who freaking cares? It's Pokemon. We will collectively lose our minds for adorable, overpowered pocket monsters. Lumiose City, the glittering heart of Kalos, now upgraded to a post-modern Pokemon metropolis with more cafes, boutiques, and suspiciously smug Pikachu than any city should legally allow. ZA, it isn't just bringing us back, it's giving us a city that looks alive. You know, like the Sims met Pokemon and decided to cosplay as each other. You guys remember Lumiose from XY, right? The Eiffel Tower knockoff, the endless roundabouts, and the trainers who somehow always have perfect IVs and slightly too much charisma? Well, yeah, it's back, but now it's even shinier, faster, and slightly terrifying. I honestly think the game nails that balance between nostalgia and innovation. It's familiar enough to make your inner 12-year-old scream, Pikachu! While being fresh enough that your inner adult says, wait, how is catching a Pokemon mid-air considered a legitimate gameplay mechanic? This city is basically bustling with NPCs, side quests, and Easter eggs that should keep you occupied longer than a Snorlax in freaking hibernation. And the developers clearly know what they're doing. They're not just rehashing old maps. They're basically remixing the classic Kalos formula, sprinkling it with action-based gameplay and adding subtle quality of life improvements that make you wonder how you survived XY without a save anywhere button. Every alley, cafe, and suspiciously aggressive street vendor feels like a love letter to long-time fans. Yet, ZA isn't afraid to poke fun at itself either. The same city that once had overly polite trainers now has NPCs who might just challenge you to a double battle in the middle of the street because apparently
Kalos' traffic laws are as non-existent as your chances of resisting a shiny Magikarp.
It's beautiful, it's stupid, it's hilarious, and somehow still quintessentially Pokemon. Lumiose City, it's a character in its own. A city that welcomes you back with open arms, yet somehow punches you with a critical hit when you least expect it. And guys, isn't that exactly, or kind of what we want? Nostalgia with a twist, comfort with a little stupidity, and an overwhelming sense that no matter how many Pokemon you catch, there is always one more lurking in the shadows.
Or in the overpriced boutique.
Pokémon Legends ZA takes the best bits of Arceus action-based gameplay and cranks it up to freaking 11 like an amplifier for catching monsters. You remember Arceus' unique spin on real-time catching? It was freaking revolutionary. ZA, it builds on that, making encounters feel dynamic, unpredictable, and occasionally destructive, which is perfect because nothing says Pokemon like accidentally flinging a Pokeball into a Snorlax's face
And then panicking as it bounces back to you.
Combat is snappy and fun, and the game finally understands the age-old truth. Pokemon battles are better when they feel freaking alive. You're not just pressing buttons anymore, you're thinking on your feet, dodging attacks, and occasionally screaming at your Pikachu for failing an obvious Thunderbolt. ZA also improves exploration, making open-world segments less of a chore and more of a delightful scavenger hunt. It's like someone finally told Pokemon, yes, you can let players roam freely without holding their freaking hand the entire time. Now mechanically, the game doesn't just evolve its gameplay, it's evolving the very spirit of the Legends series. It feels weighty and alive, environments are interactive and clever, and there is a sense that every action from sneaking past wild trainers to triggering a clever combo attack freaking matters. The game even teases previous mechanics in funny ways, like referencing outdated items or using environmental hazards strategically, which is a subtle wink to longtime fans who spend hours in Arceus thinking,
Why can't I just sneak past that wimpy Zobat?
In a nutshell, ZA makes you feel like a master trainer without actually letting you be one. It's challenging, engaging, and hilarious in its little quirks. And honestly, that's what makes Pokemon great. The perfect cocktail of nostalgia, destruction, and just enough polish
To make you scream at your console in delight rather than frustration.
The world has collectively lost it for Pokémon Legends ZA. Japan contributed 1.4 million sales, Europe swapped in to claim its share, and the Americas collectively shouted, "Give me all the Pokémon or else."
Trump probably said that.
And yes, while ZA didn't quite match Scarlet Violet's 10 million debut, it still crushed most launch weeks across the industry. Like I've mentioned, comparing it to Borderlands 4 at 2 million copies sold, ZA looks like it's bench pressing small freaking countries. The critics are liking it too. On Metacritic, the game scored a great 78 overall score from 76 critics, which is, in my honest opinion, a little bit disappointing, but not unimpressive in any way. Users, on the other hand, weren't too delighted as they slapped it with a boo score of 4.6 out of 10. In my head, I believe it probably has something to do with the repetitiveness, as some fans might argue that it's a blatant copy of Arceus and the game didn't evolve as expected. Nevertheless, the numbers prove one thing: Pokemon is freaking unstoppable. Like, guys, Pokemon doesn't just sell games, it's selling culture. Players from all over the globe are logging in, creating fan art, theorizing about obscure Pokemon lore, and maybe even rewatching the XY anime because nostalgia
Is a sneaky drug.
The sheer reach of ZA demonstrates that Pokemon isn't just a series, it's a worldwide hobby that refuses to age gracefully in the best possible way. Now, we still need to address the Poké Ball in the Poké Center.
Nintendo freaking do.
The company that blesses us with adorable monsters and then sues anyone daring to breathe near a game mechanic they vaguely invented. Yes, I know, I've talked about this a lot of times in my previous videos, but still, it's worth mentioning. Recently, Nintendo decided to send lawyers after Palworld, a game with its own identity, because apparently creating a Pokemon-esque creature is grounds for legal freaking warfare. And this isn't new. Nintendo has been patenting everything from the concept of catching creatures to vaguely rounded rectangles that could possibly or maybe remotely resemble a freaking Pokédex. Their legal department is basically a Pokemon gym leader, and every indie developer is just trying to get a badge without getting obliterated by a legal hyper beam. Palworld, for instance, faced threats despite being an entirely unique survival crafting game. The absurdity is so high, it could basically evolve into a fully fledged legendary Pokemon named
Litigiosaurus.
Now here is something you might not expect me to say, and it's a bit of a compliment. Nintendo still manages to make incredible games while being absurdly aggressive. Their pure dedication to protecting their IP is like a paranoid Chansey guarding a treasure chest filled with, well, more Chansey. And while we sit here and roast them for suing anyone vaguely resembling a Pokemon, we still sit down, pay full freaking price and play their games for hours. Ugh, it's honestly a toxic but delicious cycle. We hate them, they sue, and yet we can't stop loving every adorable creature that emerges from their freaking hands. So yes, Nintendo it's basically the tyrannical gym leader we love to roast, but the fact remains, they make games that make us... In my final words, Pokémon Legends isn't just a game. It's a celebration, a dance of nostalgia, and proof that pocket monsters are still the most marketable creatures on Earth. And its first week sales of 5.8 million copies cement it as a global phenomenon, a beacon of how good Pokémon can still be when handled with care and humor. Players worldwide have logged in, battled, explored, and occasionally swung with joy as the city comes alive, reminding us why Pokémon remains not just relevant but utterly essential to gaming communities. And even when we roast Nintendo freaking Do for their legal shenanigans, the irony is delicious. They create worlds worth fighting for, worlds that inspire awe and mild exasperation, worlds where we happily ignore absurd lawsuits to catch one more shiny monster. Pokémon Legends ZA is basically living proof that even in the face of corporate stupidity, the magic of Pokémon prevails. So, trainers, casuals, and enthusiasts alike, raise your Pokéballs high. Celebrate the game, laugh at the absurdities, and prepare for countless hours of adventure. Pokémon Legends ZA is here. It's brilliant, and the world is collectively throwing Pokéballs like it's going out of style.
Catch it if you can. Literally.
What do you guys think? Am I just over-exaggerating with my words and over-complimenting Pokémon Legends ZA, or will Pokémon forever remain the king of all summoned creatures? Drop your thoughts down below.
Before I drop a Pokeball on your freaking head.
And guys, thank you so much for watching the video and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content in the future. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.